So I think retail in general is changing. The formula that we knew 20, 30 years ago is completely different. Brands that are a little more nimble and have this ability to figure out what's going on in the marketplace and react to it are really the ones that are succeeding. I think what we're doing is a combination of all business channels. So we operate 5 business channels currently. We operate an e-commerce site, we operate retail stores, we do a wholesale channel, we have an international channel, and we do a business-to-business channel. So it's a little bit like trading currency, right? If one thing's up, the other's down. But right now, all 5 of those are actually trending for us equally, which is great. I believe the customer wants to touch and feel the product. So I believe you always need brick and mortar. And we had a much smaller location here in Bridges Junction a few years ago. And it did so well that we decided that we could express the brand in a much better way in a much larger format. So we doubled the size, and it's working phenomenally. Like it's been a great asset to the portfolio. I think what you have to be careful is not to be one-dimensional, which is all retail stores or all e-com for us, you know, the kind of bag company that we are. So I think that Singapore and the US are having some of the same growing pains in some ways. We are dealing with a much bigger e-com network, I think, than Singapore is dealing with. But we are kind of weathering through it. It's been great. I mean, we just know that we want to be in partnership with people that like our brand, love what we're doing, have the same ideals and the same values as us, and that they want to keep, you know, kind of all of us in price parity, and so that we can all kind of win together. We don't necessarily care where someone buys a bag. We just want them to buy a Timbuk2 bag and know what the brand represents and know who we are. And so when we do that, we love it. We love it if they buy a bag in Singapore through the customizer or in the store or at one of our accounts. We don't care where they purchase the bag. We just want to make sure they understand and get to know the brand. We've been in Singapore for over 10 years now, and we share a lot of the same values and a lot of the same experiences. We're not sure exactly why. Maybe because we were saying earlier, maybe because everyone can speak English and they understand our brand, you know, through our marketing lens, or they understand American brands easier than some other countries. But this has been the easiest market to adopt our brand of all of the Asian markets, and we've been here the longest. And we're really happy with it. We really want to keep growing here and keep expanding. We love this marketplace, and it seems like the customer really kind of responds to us. This store alone has the largest custom percent to total of any of the stores globally. So all the stores that we have in our 20 stores outside of Singapore, this store has the highest percent of custom. So even the one thing that our business was founded on, which is our founder made custom bags from day one, and he actually had the first online customizer of anyone in the marketplace. He taught Nike ID how to do custom, which is a fun little side story. But of all the heritage and all the history that we have with custom, it's been great that the store in Singapore has the number 1% of custom to the total. Well, brand is something for me, it's understanding the story, number 1, which we just talked about. So understanding the core authentic story is number 1. And number 2, it's like staying on the rails, you know, always staying true to your brand. And even if there's something that might look like the next shiny object, that, oh, that looks like something interesting that we should participate in because that's what the rest of the world is doing. I would advise against that. I would say, no, if it falls within the filter of your brand, that's great. Like travel falls perfectly within the filter of our brand, that's great. But if it's something else, I would say no to that opportunity. So I definitely talk about authentic, being an authentic brand, an authentic story, staying true to the brand. And then at the end of the day, like for me, building a brand is just the way you show up externally. So is every visual cue from the marketing looking and feeling the way that your brand book is set up, and looking and feeling the way that you've postured yourself about your target market. And so just staying true to kind of like setting the guidelines and setting your brand book and making sure that that everything goes through a filter before it hits market is a good way for the customer to see who you are from the inside out and not to confuse them. So for me, that's a pretty simple formula, but that's kind of what I prescribe to. Well, I think number one, you have to have an authentic story. So there are some brands that I think prefabricate a story or want you to believe that maybe they've been around longer than they have. I don't know, but this brand actually has an authentic story. And when Rob started the brand in 1989, he really was a bike messenger. He really built a bag to be a utilitarian, functional bag to help him do his job and to maneuver around a city. And I would say, fast forward 30 years, we're still doing exactly what he wanted to do. We're helping urban dwellers move around the city, get in a more mobile way that helps them solve their problems. So whether you are on a bike, on a Vespa, in an Uber, walking, driving, it doesn't matter. We're helping you kind of get around the city in a much easier way. And part of what we're trying to do is really drive this notion that we were founded by an authentic guy, and we pay really strong homage to him and to being a founder. And we're a real brand. Like our values haven't changed over those 30 years. We still prescribe to the same type of culture that we had when he was there. And he comes to visit us quite often. And when he does, I'm like, are we on the right track? Is this what you wanted for your brand? He's like, this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted you to grow the brand from just a messenger bag business to a lifestyle brand. So he's kind of given us permission to do that, and that's what we're doing. I never give it any thought, right? I never give gender any thought. It's just a very funny thing. I do think that maybe the way we handle things in the company might be a little bit different. I'm very collaborative. I don't know if that's female or just me. We do things more on a consensus basis and getting a lot of upfront collaboration and alignment when we make our decisions and before we move forward. So I don't know if that's different, but that's just something that we've brought to the company. I think more for female, it's just been, do you identify with this brand? And so what brought me to the brand is the whole sustainability aspect. So I owned my own eco-sustainable apparel line, and it was really important for me to work for a company that had a strong values and belief system. So what brought me to the company is really our lifetime warranty, our urban manufacturing made in San Francisco, our nod to always having a product that you could repurpose if you wanted to. So I'm really tied to kind of the mission statement of the company, and that's really what brought me to the company. And I think other people are tied to a couple of the other values, the community aspect of our company. We like to build community, especially around bike, or the notion of getting out on a bike is something we really love to educate people on. And then some people are just really into, the whole fashion side of the business, working for a product company that's in the fashion arena. So there's kind of something for everyone, but I don't give it too much thought about male, female. You'd probably ask the people that were there before I got there if it's a big difference. They'd say yes, I'm sure.